There is a man in a brown corduroy jacket standing in my daughter's bedroom doorway. He has not been alive for 3 years. I am hiding in my own hallway closet at 12 minutes past 1 in the morning, recording this on my phone, and by the end of this you will understand why he is in my house, why my wife waves at him in the kitchen instead of me, and what I figured out tonight that I cannot make myself believe. I killed a man 3 years and 4 months ago on a county road in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. His name was Martin Hale. He had a wife and a 9-year-old daughter. I never told anyone what I had done. I drove home. I went to bed next to my wife. And there is one thing I have been wrong about for 3 years that I am only telling you now, because I just heard it for myself. My name is Ryan Kessler. I am 36 years old. I live in a town called New Galilee in western Pennsylvania in a 1.5-story house on 3 acres of woods. I am married to a woman named Caroline. We have one daughter, Emma, who turned 7 last March. I am a Finnish carpenter. I do trim, doors, mantles, and the occasional kitchen for builders out of Beaver Falls. I have lived in this house for 9 years. I want you to picture all of that. The wife, the daughter, the trade, the house. Hold that picture. Because the thing I am going to tell you is that I do not, anymore, know which of those things still belongs to me. On the night of February 11th, 2023, I drove home from a friend's house on a county road I had driven 1,000 times. I had been drinking. I want to be clear about that. I had been drinking, and I knew I should not have been driving, and I had told myself I was only 3 miles from the house. I was going to take the long way around the back roads, where I never saw another car after 10 at night, and I would be home by 11. It was 11:04 when I came around the curve on Route 351, just north of the old Grange Hall, and a man stepped out into the middle of the road in front of my truck. I did not see him until I hit him. I want to say that again, because I have said it differently to myself in my head, in the dark, every night for 3 years and 4 months, and I want to be honest with you, the way I have not been honest with anyone else. I did not see him until I hit him. I do not know if I would have seen him if I had been sober. He was wearing a brown corduroy jacket and a black knit cap and dark jeans, and there were no streetlights on that stretch of road, and the moon was behind a cloud. I came around the curve, and there was a sound, not the sound of a body, the sound of a body and bone. 2 sounds, one against my front fender and one against my windshield, and I stopped the truck about 100 feet down the road, and I sat in the cab with both hands on the wheel, and I did not turn around. I want you to understand. I did not turn around. I sat in the truck for what was probably 4 minutes and what felt like an hour, and I told myself, very calmly, in a voice that sounded like someone else's voice, that there was nothing I could do for him now, that if I called 911 I would lose my license and probably my marriage and possibly my freedom, and that none of those things would bring him back. I told myself that the road was empty, that no one had seen, that the truck was old and there were no cameras on the road, and the front fender was already dented from a deer 2 years prior. I told myself that the man had stepped into the road, that he had been wearing dark clothes, that on a moonless night, on a curve, no one would have seen him. I went around the long way so I would not have to pass back through where he was lying. I parked the truck in our garage. I closed the garage door. I went inside and I took off my boots in the mudroom, and I went upstairs and I got into bed beside Caroline, who was already asleep, and she rolled over and put her arm across my chest and said, "You're cold," and I said, "I know," and she went back to sleep. I did not sleep that night. I did not sleep the next night either. His name was in the Beaver County Times 2 days later. Martin Hale, age 47, a social studies teacher at Riverside High School. Survived by his wife Eleanor and his daughter Hannah, age 9. He had been walking home from the fire hall in Darlington. He had been at a community meeting about a property line dispute, and his car was in a shop, and he had decided to walk the 3 miles back because it was a mild night. The article said the police were asking for information. The article said the family was asking that whoever had done this come forward. I read it twice. I cut it out of the paper. I put it in the drawer of my workbench in the garage. I am telling you this because what comes next was not me forgetting. For 3 years I went to work. I built mantles and kitchens and a few staircases. I went to Emma's parent-teacher conferences, and I sat in the little plastic chair and listened to her teacher tell us she was the kindest kid in her class. I made breakfast on Saturday mornings. I told Caroline I loved her. I told Emma I loved her. I bought a new pair of work boots in the fall of 2023, and I gave the old ones, the ones I had worn that night, to the Salvation Army on Route 18. I went to bed every night beside my wife. I did not sleep well, but I slept. I thought I had gotten away. The first time I saw him was in May of last year, 15 months after the accident. I was sitting at a red light at the corner of Route 18 and Old Brighton Road on my way to a job. I was looking at my phone, scrolling something, I do not remember what, and I happened to glance up at the rearview mirror, and there was a man sitting in the back seat of my truck. He was wearing the brown corduroy jacket. He had the black knit cap on. He was not looking at me. He was looking out the side window. His neck was not at the right angle. His head was tilted slightly forward and to one side, the way a head tilts when something has been pushed out of place in the neck and not put back. I could not see his face clearly because his head was turned away, but I could see the wet stain on the lapel of the corduroy jacket, dark against the brown, in the shape of a small flower. I think I made a sound. The light turned green. I twisted around to look at the back seat, and there was no one there. The cab smelled, faintly, of wet wool. I drove to the job site. I worked for 9 hours that day. I told my wife when I got home that I had a stomach bug. I went to bed at 7:30. The second time was in the kitchen of my own house, a month later. I came in from the garage at 5:45 on a Wednesday evening, and Caroline was at the stove, with her back to me, frying chicken. She said without turning around, "There's mail on the table for you, babe." I said okay. I dropped my keys in the wooden bowl on the counter. I went to the bathroom to wash my hands. When I came back into the kitchen, Caroline turned around with the pan in her hand and she startled. She actually jumped. She said, "Oh, when did you come in? I didn't hear you." I said, "Honey, I said hi to you a minute ago. You said the mail was on the table." She looked at me. She looked at the wooden bowl on the counter where the keys were sitting. She said very slowly, "No, baby, those have been there. You said you'd be back at 6. I had been holding the keys 40 seconds earlier. They had been in my pocket since I left the job site. I had not been in the house. I had not said hi to her. I told her she was working too hard. We laughed about it. She kissed me. I sat at the table and ate the chicken and looked at the mail. There was a coupon for an oil change and a flyer for a county fair and a small white envelope addressed to me with no return address. Inside the envelope was a piece of lined notebook paper, folded once, with 3 words written in pencil in small, neat, even capitals. "I forgive you." I did not show it to Caroline. I put it in the bottom drawer of my workbench in the garage, on top of the newspaper clipping. I saw him in our bedroom on the 17th of August. He was standing on Caroline's side of the bed, with his back to me, looking down at her while she slept. He was wearing the corduroy jacket and the knit cap. He was not making any sound. I was in the doorway. I had come up to bed late, because I had been working on a credenza in the garage. I stood in the doorway for what was probably 3 seconds, and what felt like a minute and a half. I lifted my hand to turn on the light, and when the light came on, the room was empty. Caroline rolled over and shielded her eyes and said, "Babe, it's late." I said sorry. I turned the light off. I came to bed. I lay on my back in the dark, with my eyes open until almost 4 in the morning, and I did not see anything else, and I did not sleep. The next morning, Emma asked me at breakfast who the man at her bedroom door was last night. I asked her what she meant. I tried to make my face do a thing that was a face that a father makes when his daughter asks him a confusing question. She said, "The man, he came in your spot last night. He sat on the end of my bed for a little bit. I thought it was you, but you were taller. He didn't say anything. Then he left." Caroline was at the counter making her coffee. She was not really listening. She was the way she gets in the morning before her first cup. I said to Emma, "Connie, that was a dream." Emma said no, his coat was wet. I think that was the first time I felt the thing I am going to describe. It is not, I want to say, fear. It is, a feeling like the floor of the world is at a slightly different elevation than I remember it being. Like I have come into a room I have lived in for 10 years, and one of the doors is on the wrong wall. It was not fear of him. It was fear of where my life had gone while I was not paying attention. For the next 3 months, he came home with me almost every night. I want to be honest about what that was like. He did not haunt me. He did not chase me. He did not whisper from the corners or move things or threaten anyone in my family. He was, and this is the worst way I can put it, present. He was at the kitchen table in the mornings before anyone else came down. He was at the foot of Emma's bed when she had a fever in September. He was on the porch the night I was on the phone with my brother in Erie. I never saw him long. He was there when I walked into a room, and then he was not. Twice, Caroline talked to him as if he were me. Once in the kitchen, she said to the empty doorway, "Babe, did you remember to put the trash out?" And a few seconds later, she said, "Okay, thanks." I had been upstairs. If this is getting under your skin, there is a new one here every night. Once at the end of October, I came down to the kitchen at 5 in the morning to start my coffee, and Emma was already up. She was sitting in her pajamas at the kitchen table eating dry cereal out of the box. She looked up at me when I came in, and she did not say hi. She said, "Daddy already made me cereal." There was a bowl on the table in front of her with milk in it and Cheerios. There was a second bowl, empty, on the table across from her. There was a coffee mug, my coffee mug, the one with the dent in the rim, sitting next to it, full, still steaming. I said, "Sweetheart, where did Daddy go?" She pointed at the porch door. The door was closed, the porch was empty. I sat down across from her. I drank the coffee. It was the way I make it. Tonight is the 2nd of November. I'm hiding in my hallway closet because tonight I went into our bedroom to put away my work jeans, and I saw him on Caroline's side of the bed. He was sitting on the edge of the bed. He was holding Caroline's hand. Caroline was sitting up against the headboard, and she was talking to him. She was telling him about her day. She was smiling. I have not seen her smile like that in 14 months. I went out of the room. I came down the hall to the closet. I closed the door behind me. I started recording. A few minutes ago, I heard them say goodnight to each other. I heard Caroline say, "I love you, Rye." I heard him answer in my voice, "I love you too." I have been telling you for 40 minutes that this is a story about a man I killed coming home with me. I do not think that is what this is anymore. I have not been to my workbench in the garage in 11 days. The newspaper clipping is still in the drawer. The note that said "I forgive you" is still on top of it. I went down there an hour ago, before I came up to put the jeans away, and I opened the drawer and I read the clipping again, and I want to tell you what it said, the part I did not tell you before. The clipping said the driver of the truck was found inside the cab, at the scene. It said the driver was unresponsive. It said the driver was a 33-year-old Finnish carpenter from New Galilee. It said the man's wife and 7-year-old daughter had been notified. It said funeral arrangements were pending. I want to tell you that I did not read those words 3 years ago, that the clipping I cut out said something else, that I have been confusing 2 articles in my memory. I want to tell you that. I cannot tell you that. I have been in this closet for 11 minutes. I am whispering because my daughter is asleep 3 doors down and I do not want to wake her. I just heard the bedroom door open. I just heard footsteps come down the hall. I just heard them stop outside the closet. He is standing on the other side of the door. I can see his shape through the slats. He is wearing my flannel shirt. He has my haircut. The wet stain is on the lapel. He is breathing slowly through his nose. He just said my name. He said it the way Caroline says it when she is calling me down to dinner. He said, "Rye," quietly, like he doesn't want to scare me. He just opened the door. I want to say one thing before I stop recording. To anyone who finds this, to Caroline if she finds this, I am so sorry. I am sorry I lied to you for 3 years. I am sorry I drove home that night. I am sorry I did not turn around. I want you to know that the man who has been at the kitchen table is a good man. He is a better man than I was. He will be a better husband than I was. He will be a better father than I was. He is reaching for the phone. I love you, Caroline. I love you, Emma. I am sorry if this one's gonna keep you up, subscribe. I post a new story every night.